Obviously, because there have been no long-term studies done on this, there are going to be issues that they're kind of trying to cross in terms of the bridges. They're trying to cross those now after millions of people that have been vaccinated. I have a story for you guys. The NIH is now funding a study on how COVID-19 basically impacts menstrual cycles, period. Now you may think, wait a minute, why the fuck they didn't cross that bridge before? No. Look, guys, I know there's people that watch this show and they are vaccinated, and I don't hate you for that, not at all. I've long said that you have that absolute right to do that. You've assessed the risk and you decided that you want to get jabbed. But you are a lab rat, okay? And I'm not saying that to be offensive. Some people would. But you're a lab rat because there's so much that they don't know. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to just up and die. Like they flip a switch. I'm not willing to go that far yet. Not yet, at least. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not even saying that you can't live a relatively healthy life or you're not going to live a relatively healthy life. I'm saying there are literally things that they simply don't know because it didn't go through their rigorous periods of testing to try to figure out what all kind of happens out of this. Everything was short term. So you're the lab rat, you're the guinea pig in a lot of this. Looking at this right here, reported from the New York Post. National Institute of Health announced a $1.67 million study to investigate reports that suggest the COVID-19 may come with an unexpected impact of reproductive health. This is why, me and Lady Ripper obviously talked about this, when it was first coming out that, like the whole sterilized thing. Like, I'm not saying that was like factually what was going to happen, but there were experts, like one was like a former Pfizer employee even, who had wrote a letter to the, was it Moderna or Pfizer? I can't remember, but he was a VP of something. And he had wrote a letter to I think it was the government of can't remember if it was the EU at the time or if it was like UK. But he had basically wrote a letter to these governments, and it was co-signed by another health expert. And they were saying that was one of the things that they were worried about, particularly when it came to females. And look, I'm not a Lady Ripper. She was obviously like, "Fuck no, ain't no fucking way I'm touching that shit now." Even if there's a possibility that some shit like that happens to where we can't have kids in the future, she was like, "Nah." But let's continue reading on. It says it's been a little over a year, or a little over 6 months since COVID-19 vaccines in the U.S., Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson became widely available for all adults. But even in the early days of the vaccine rollout, some women were noticing irregular periods following their shots. First reported by the Lilly in April. Shauna Clausen, who is 45, spoke to the Washington Post women's news site at the time, again this week, about her experience after getting the jab, revealing that her period arrived earlier and heavier than what she considers normal. She was one of many who gathered on social media to share what they were seeing. Is this not being discussed, or is it even being looked at or researched because it's a woman's issue? Well, I wouldn't pull that card. I don't think that's it. I think that they just simply wanted to roll this out, and you were a guinea pig, and you got it. Like, look, like I've said, this doesn't require rocket science, bro. You don't need to be a rocket science or like be an expert on immunology or virology or any of that. Just put two and two together. The goddamn thing, this virus it arrives in America, or in terms of like a breakout, a year and a half. It's been 6 months. So you think in less than a year, basically, they already had a vaccine rolled out. What the fuck, like, makes you think that everything was tested out of that. Only thing at best that they could have found out was side effects immediately and short term. But as far as long term, or even other things to the immediate short term, they couldn't consider all of that. And it got rolled out that fast. So it's not that complicated. It's that it has not gone through the rigorous forms of testing that we've seen maybe in other vaccines before. And that's why they're now discovering that maybe there are other issues that will come with it. And, we're not done with this. Who knows, 5-10 years down the line, what we're dealing with here in terms of complications. We don't know. That's not to say that they're going to be there. It's that you're flying blind, bro. You got that injection and you have no fucking idea of the other long-term consequences that are going to be generally associated with it, simply because it just has not gone through that rigorous amounts of testing. I hope and pray that you're going to be fucking fine. But you get what it is that I'm saying. It would appear that the NIH heard Clausen and others' reports as they announced August 30th. They intended to embark on just such research, aiming to incorporate up to 500,000 participants, including teens, transgendered, and non-binary people. I'm not even going to touch that. Researchers at Boston University's Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins University, Michigan State University, and Oregon Health and Science University have been enlisted to embark on a study commissioned by the NIH. The approximately year-long study, okay, guys. God damn, man. Nope, it's not me wanting to be right. It's just that I'm not clairvoyant. I can't see into the fucking future. But even I saw this, right? I'm not the smartest person in the fucking world. But even I saw this. They're about to do a year-long study following initially unvaccinated people, right? To try to figure out what was going on. This is the type of stuff that they would have been doing had they actually went through the rigorous forms of testing and whatnot before trying to get this damn thing rolled out as quick as they did. So you have a year-long study that they're going to be doing, and they say they will follow the initially unvaccinated participants to observe changes that occur following each dose. More specifically, some groups will exclude participants on birth control or gender-affirming hormones, which may impact their own. Yeah, obviously doing weird shit like that is going to fuck that up. Our goal is to provide menstruating people with information. It's called women. They call them menstruating people, bros. It's called females, man. Mainly as to what to expect. They got to be politically correct with this shit. That's what's so funny about it, man. Because I think that was the biggest issue. Nobody expected it to affect the menstrual system because the information wasn't being collected early in the early vaccine studies. And this is from NICHD director herself, Diana Bianchi. So, okay, guys, they are admitting that they didn't know because they weren't even trying to collect this fucking data. I'm actually done reading this. This is the bottom line. A lot of y'all are the guinea pigs. Well, all of you are guinea pigs, right? Now, again, you're right. You assumed a risk. You thought it was worth being a lab rat. My thing was, as always, that I've said, you people who have been so aggressively against folks who decided to not assume that risk, a lot of reasons was upon the assumption, and not even that. It's more of they simply didn't know. And then when you assess that versus the active infected fatality rate of this, people are like, you know what? I don't think it's for me to get it. Maybe 5 years down the line or something may change and then they'll maybe get it. But right now, it just doesn't seem like that's the right thing for them. That was never a wrongful, that was never irrational of an assumption for that person to make. Because as you see, I mean, we're covering this like every week, something else, like with the myocarditis and the pericarditis and the heart issues, like all of this sort of stuff that's coming out after the fact, right? After the fact that these issues are starting to come about, or that there was something else being done because they simply did not have the time to do these studies, or didn't do the studies, maybe even neglected to do the studies to really ensure that it was safe top to bottom. Right. And now they want to do it. They want to do a year-long study after this shit has been released. This is why when it came to FDA approvals, CDC recommendations, to act like those were foolproof, it's just, you had to been a special kind of, like your nose had to be up the ass of the government, like straight up. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. I really. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.